Hello, this is William Robinson of ViralHair.com, and we're talking to
Fern Brady from Inklings Publishing.
and Inklings Publishing. Y'all are a small press.
We're a small press. We've been in business now for 8 years.
Okay.
We're based here in Houston, Texas, and we're a traditional publisher. So that means we don't charge our authors anything, for services and things like that. We have an open window for submissions every May and June, and then we look at our queries and we decide which books to invest in.
All right, now, how did you decide to put together a publishing house? Because it seems like a pretty big endeavor.
It is definitely a costly hobby, for sure. It's funny because I started off by looking at wanting to indie publish my own books.
Right.
But at the time, I didn't have any actually written, okay? And so I thought, well, I'd run public relations companies before, I run my own real estate company and stuff. So I knew how to run a business. And, once I'd researched how to do a publishing company as an indie, expanding it to how to be a publisher for multiple authors was not really that big a leap. At the time, I had just retired from teaching full-time in a public school, so I had retirement funds. And so, some people might be like, oh, friend, that was just a bad idea, because I don't know how you're going to retire now. But, I have faith because we've been in it for 8 years, and we're still in it in spite of COVID. We're still going strong. The cushion that we had is significantly smaller, but it's still there, and hopefully it will go back up, as things get better. So, I have faith in it, and I'm having a blast.
Right, now, as a small publishing house, I just know from experience talking to different people, some publishing houses kind of specialize in a certain genre or type of book. Do y'all kind of lean that way in some ways, or?
No, so we do have a heavier amount of speculative fiction.
Right.
And I think that comes from the fact that we have our name as being Inklings Publishing, the Inklings
After
Society.
Lewis and Tolkien group in Oxford, right?
Yes, yeah. So I think people naturally that write in those genres sort of naturally flow to us.
Right.
However, we do have a variety because we have a contemporary romance series. We have some crime stories written by some attorneys. And we are bringing along a brand new series with historic fiction that is a romance. And we are opening up to multiple genres. So our goal is mostly to be a full house publishing.
Right.
But it's taking a little while as we expand and look at books. But I mean, most of our queries do fall within the speculative fiction. So, we probably are going to lean heavily there. But we do look at multiple genres.
Right. Now, coming kind of different direction from the way the pandemic was last year, have you been able to expand and bring anybody new into the group of authors you have, or you kind of lost people? I mean, how has that affected you guys?
We haven't lost anybody. We are expanding. This year we did launch 2 brand new authors that were debuting their books. Pat Daly, who's here with us today, and Mac Little is going to be debuting in November. And we do have another author who we're working through his book, so he will be debuting sometime next year, early, hopefully. We're doing revisions, and we ended up cutting it in 2, and so, yeah, it's gotten complicated for his book, but we're excited for it because I think it'll be that much better. And we did open for submissions. So in May and June of this year, we opened the window to let people send us in queries. And we are in the process of looking at those. And we've actually sent a couple of requests for full manuscripts already. We have like 300. So that's a lot of queries to go through.
Right.
But exciting to find a few really good ones that we're interested in possibly move them through to the next phase of looking at the full manuscript.
Right.
And then deciding maybe in January which ones to pick up.
Right. And you've done a few shows, different small conventions, a couple a little bit on a larger scale. Which one do you usually find you better contacts with the public through over time? What's kind of been better for you to work with to meet people?
To meet people?
Smaller or big shows?
I like the small shows because you can spend more time talking to people.
Right.
But actually, the biggest one, the best one in terms of, just generally successful Comic-Cons is definitely Comic Palooza.
Right.
Even with it moving to July and, being kind of a weird situation with the way that they managed it this year, it was still really our number one successful con. And I think that's just because of the size and the publicity.
Right.
One of the hard things I imagine for a small con, especially a beginner one, like for example Comic Conroe, this was their first year, just getting the word out,
Right.
Bringing in the public, which I was really impressed. They did really well. We had quite a bit of sales, and we had a lot of good, foot traffic coming in. So that's kind of always the issue with the smaller ones is how effective are they at bringing in people, and then of course bringing in readers who will buy some books.
Right. Now you mentioned earlier, kind of started this and didn't have your own work going yet. So where are you now in doing your own stuff?
Well, so now I have book 1 out of my series,
Right.
which, by the way, got reviewed by Doctor Who Online, which is the fan page for the fandom of Doctor Who. And I am working on the revisions for book 2 because, I've actually it was really interesting. I actually had a couple of actual people who liked it, just random people, like people I don't actually know, and who like messaged me, on Facebook and stuff. They messaged me and they were like, "So when is book 2? We're so excited to hear book 2, and it's been a long time." And so it's kind of nice to know that there's actually people, not me, that like it, and not just my friends who tell me they like it, but like actual random people.
And what is the title of the book in the series?
In the series, so the one that's out right now is United Vidden, and
Okay.
that's book 1. And book 2 is going to be Gortiv Offensive, because the Gortiv are the lizard people, because, you just can't have enough lizard people in this world.
Of course.
And the lizard people who are trying to retake Vidden, the continent of Vidden. So in book 1, it was all about the people who live on the continent of Vidden uniting. And then in book 2, they're facing the Gortiv, who are trying to retake and reclaim their lands that was stolen from them.
So it's kind of a sci-fi political thriller in a way.
Yeah, I definitely love political stuff and weaving all kinds of political threads in there, and societal stuff,
Right.
Because, the Gortiv are lizard people, and so King Amiel, who's one of the protagonists in the book, he's very anti-non-human species, which gives me a chance to delve into some of the racism and, and look at, what are some of the roots of these things and how can we fight them as a society, So it's kind of fun with science fiction to be able to go into places that people might automatically go, no,
Right.
But it's a fictional world with
Right.
fictional people on another planet, and so we can play with these ideas and kind of explore them with less feelings of confrontation or condemnation or any of these kinds of things.
Right. Because I don't know if it's true of you, but I'm just kind of because most sci-fi in a way link towards some kind of hopeful resolution or thought. So now most sci-fi writers, when they tackle subjects like you are, usually trying to find some kind of balance or better resolution than we can find usually just amongst ourselves at times.
Yes, I mean, definitely that's the goal, right? The goal is not just to explore these hard topics, which is important because you need tension in a book.
Right.
You need conflict, and the more realistic it is, the more that you can identify with it as a reader, the better. So you want that, but you also want to leave people with hope. Now, some authors don't, because you have like George R. R. Martin, who, loves to be kind of a, all the good people end up dead and all the bad people, maybe they make it as heroes. So, I mean, he likes to play with a lot of that. And,
Right.
and there are authors that leave you with like a tragedy, right? And,
Right.
and a tragedy is a legitimate, ending. But I don't think that's how it's going to be on my book. 'Cause I definitely like happy endings. Maybe not all the characters will make it,
Right.
but overall, there needs to be a sense of hope, and I think there is hope, just in our own world. There's always hope when you look at human beings, and the world around us. You could maybe get discouraged, but if you look at the individual acts of kindness that are going on every day, every day there's somebody doing something nice, somebody being generous, and there is hope, that overall we can overcome things, and have a good resolution.
And that is a really unique view of the world. Thank you so much, Fern. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.